This was the one thing I also had. When I was in my 20s, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. I was exercising like crazy. I was doing all the right things, but I had high blood pressure. It's in our family. And the doctor said to me, well, you're going to have to be on medication for the rest of your life. High blood pressure medication. That's the last thing I want, is to be on medication. And he said, well, there's nothing you can do. You're stuck with it. You got bad genes. You chose the wrong parents. So I said, there must be something I can do. And it was about that time when I learned, it was a little while beyond this time when I learned about meditation, which I'll tell you about. And ever since then, no high blood pressure. It's gone. I've been in the normal range ever since. There have been times when I meditate, the way I'm going to show you today, where my breathing rate, you know, at the beginning of the semester we tested our breathing, we counted how many breaths we take per minute, and most people breathe between 6 and 12 breaths per minute. Some people more, some people not too much less than 6 breaths a minute. There have been times when I'm meditating where it's 1 breath a minute. I'm not trying to make that happen, that's just how it happens. You really, really slow down things. They did this really interesting study where they took people who had been meditating for 5 years. They took people, everyone in this study, they had a control group, an experimental group, and everyone in this study was over the age of 60. So old dudes, right? Everyone was over age 60, and then they tested all of them, the control group who had never meditated, and then the experimental group, every one of them in this experimental group had meditated daily for 5 years at least. And then they tested them for biological aging. Now, somebody tell me, what's the difference between we have biological aging and we have physiological aging? What's the difference? What's the difference between, what's physiological aging, first of all?
Outside.
What?
Face and stuff like that. Or are you talking about cells?
No, the right word I should have said is chronological aging. That's what I really mean. So there's biological or physiological aging. I'm sorry, I messed that up. Physiological aging and chronological aging. So what is chronological aging?
Where you should be at that point?
Yeah, I've been on this planet as the Earth has gone around the Sun 50 years. We celebrate our birthdays, everything chronologically we have our ages, right? How does biological aging differ from that? There's actually markers that they measure that show, you know, biological or physiological aging. Things like visual acuity, how fast their fingernails grow, how fast their hair grows, the amount of coloring or whatever in their hair. All these kind of measures. Well, what they did with these two groups, they measured them so they were all over age 60. This group never meditated. This group, 5 years or more of meditating every day. And they found that this group had biological ages 12 years younger on the average than this group. 12 years. Now, why does that make sense when we talk about, earlier in the semester we talked about the stress response and how it seems to age people more quickly, right? You've seen people who've gone through terrible experiences, suddenly they look older. Well, meditation, yes, it seems to slow things down a lot. It seems to slow down the aging process a lot. And I'm thinking, I'm all over that because I want to be 70 and beating the tar out of somebody in racquetball. I want to be 100 and still be, you know, moving around instead of, will somebody take care of me, please? You know, and so that was my main motive, or one of my motivations for learning this.